So, in the second half, we're going to be taking your questions. I'm a little bit nervous because I like to be a good girl. I don't want to get on the wrong side of the big man, Mr. Farage, but he doesn't give a shit, so that's fine.
He gives a shit. He gives a very big shit. That's his problem.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But so anyone that wants to ask any questions, go for gold. The man in the nice jumper that looks a bit like Ben Habib.
We've got some big news on Monday with Donald Trump's inauguration.
Yeah.
What changes do you think is going to happen with respect to our country? How does that affect things?
Well, for me personally, I mean, I'm overwhelmed that I've been asked to be the head of Heartland in the UK and Europe, which is an American think tank that's been going for 40 years. It's a climate skeptic think tank. It's also free thinking, libertarian, free speech, all of those things. They were anti the lockdown, they were anti the, not the jab itself, but anti people being forced to take it. Yeah, well, that was the line anyway. I've been asked to head it up in the UK and Europe, and we have got momentum behind us because of Trump. We've got momentum behind. I mean, it's quite funny actually. I've got a credit score thing on my. I'm a member of a credit score thing, and they've been letting me know that journalists are doing credit scores and things on me in the last few days, because there was a bit of a sting done on me in The Guardian and The Independent. They said, because Nigel Farage came to my Heartland thing to support it, the launch, they're trying to find stuff on me. So I keep getting things popping up, someone's done a credit check on you, someone's done this, someone's done that. But, actually, I mean, I don't think they're going to find much, actually. But the thing is, I think that having Trump in the White House gives momentum to what I'm doing. So it's got to be a good thing, hasn't it? What do you think?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think there's a big change. I think in America, interfering with a foreign power, interfering with the US election system is a really big thing. And I think Keir Starmer sending 100 Labour activists over to
they're voting about Elon Musk.
I'm hoping Keir Starmer is dragged over to America and put on trial, and America puts our Prime Minister in prison.
Oh, yes.
Well, how should you have to be boyfriend or Ali first?
It was amazing to see him with the wife recently. That doesn't happen very often.
Well, do you know what? If a man buys you clothes, I'm just saying this, and girls, you'll know this. If a man buys you clothes, you're involved. It's such an intimate thing, isn't it? It really is. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Can I ask you this question? No, can I ask you this question? Because it's really interesting the way that you answered that. In terms of not what the government will do with Donald Trump, but what individual organisations like Heartland will do.
Yeah, that's interesting. And social media, I get into that.
It just suggests that the British government's irrelevant to this proposition.
Well, this particular government is irrelevant to this proposition. Yeah. But you guys, with everything that's happened recently, I completely and utterly understand that you might not be feeling 100% behind reform at the moment. And shout me down. I'm happy for you to shout me down, but there are only chance at the moment. Yeah. We need to get behind them. I know it's not perfect, and I know there's been things that have happened that aren't perfect, but the Tories and Labour and Lib Dem and Green, they are all globalist organisations.
So is Reform now.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Do you think I would be involved with a globalist organisation? Do you really?
We've all been misled.
No, that's not true. You've had some experiences with some individuals that have been not good, and I'm going to help you fix it. Okay? But it is not a globalist organisation. Okay? It is not. I wouldn't even give it the time of day.
What we need to do is stop paying taxes.
Quiet. Yeah. Absolutely right. No, I agree.
We have to be very careful with reform, because we were led down this, like the Pied Piper, selling a good fight, drinking the pints of beer, but we're a bit further along from that. We've seen it already.
No. You've had some experiences with particular individuals.
We were let down in
No, don't tell us
2015.
what we've had. We know what we've
Yeah.
I'm just going for my conversation earlier on.
And we're being led down the path of having Tory party number 2. Now, and as I said to you,
But isn't that, if the
We don't want-
Tories, if
we're
the
not
Tories
Tories.
were being
The
Tories,
Tories were
we would
dickheads.
need reform, would we? Let's be honest. Yeah.
Well, hang on a second.
Anyway,
Well,
carry on. Talk
Well, no,
about
I think it might be interesting if somebody just explained as they feel what's happened.
Yeah, tell us what's happened.
We've been trying to speak with Reform leadership for four, five
Is
months.
it Tice that you've got a problem with?
No, well, Ticey sent a message to Alex and which said, "Stop pestering me." We got it.
Right.
Stop pestering me. Alex has spoken to Nigel. Nigel said, "Yeah, I'll come up." He rang him to say, "When are you going to come up?" And eventually he stopped talking to you.
Yeah, and then
So-
deletes all his comments.
Yeah, we've got all this. We've got all this written. We've got all this saved.
So,
Now, we've been
okay,
trying
so
to-
explain
no.
to me the thing about the,
Leanne
I've been
was
told
an-
certain things, you tell me what I want your side, yeah?
Right, Lee Anderson, for example,
Okay,
is an
there you
actor. He plays the part of the working man, and he has worked down Moor Green Pit. We all know where Moor Green Pit is. I stood outside Moor Green Pit in the early 60s with my grandfather, so now he may well have worked down Moor Green Pit, but he is not one of us, and he's not a miner. He's playing a part, which is why when he does his great speeches when he talks about Rachel from a cow.
Very brutal, right? Very brutal.
But
What's
he
the
won't talk
alternative?
to anybody.
What do you?
You have to give a question. Let him finish it.
He's not interested in talking to anybody outside his speech. That's the problem. Not just me, but many people have tried to engage with him. He's not interested because he knows we'll find him out because we're the real people round here. We're the real people. We're the little people, as Nigel calls us. But without us, there's no coming out of the EU. Not that we're out of it anyway. There's no reform because we're the people that have stopped to build reform up, and now we're being pooed on, and what they really want are their little friends to come and take over what we've built in places like here, in Amber Valley, and they're going to put in somebody who's paid money to get a relatively safe seat. But if they think we're going to work for them and that there's going to be any people delivering leaflets for these people, then they're wrong. We've got a brilliant candidate here who's been, for want of a better expression, been shit on by the party.
You need some FaceTime with Nigel. You need to
We're happy to
talk
do
it
it.
through properly.
We've been
because
trying to do it for 5 months.
Can I make an observation as somebody who is not a representative of the Reform Party and somebody who doesn't know you, though you've all been very nice to me today? Surely part of this is that Reform UK itself says that it is not yet a serious operation. It hasn't got everything right. I mean, on the issue of vetting, which appears to be something that's come up, my understanding is that Reform themselves recognise that their system doesn't work yet. And actually, my thought is, and it might not be easy to do, that actually, is there a way perhaps that you could work with Reform to deal with these problems? I appreciate I'm coming into the middle of this and saying this, but what I find frustrating about it, and I'm sure you're right, by the way, in what you're saying, but what I find frustrating about it is that this is a deficiency that Reform recognise they've got. You guys are loyal Reform members. They've got some more money and new people coming in. Surely it's not beyond the wit of man to resolve it. But I will say one thing, Lois. I just hope these are teething problems rather than something more serious.
They are teething problems. If you look at the Conservative Party, I mean, look at their infrastructure. You know more than me. Tell me how long they've been going, the Conservative Party, in terms of building their infrastructure.
The real problem is that all of
Is it 150 years?
Well, yes, it depends on different.
And Labour, just over 100 years,
Something
120 years. Reform I think that on a serious note has been since May.
But is there a slightly bigger issue here, which is this, which is that we live in a country of shoot the messenger. Right, let me give you the example of the man you cannot speak of, Tommy Robinson. I get told all the time, do you know about Tommy Robinson and what he's done? Yes, I know virtually everything about this man. I know about, where he's from, what he's done, criminal convictions, this. We know everything about the bloke. What we don't know is whether he's right. Nobody's ever done a study into whether there is an apartheid state in Luton, whether interracial marriages are effectively banned, whether child marriage and grooming is the norm in Luton. We've never done the research on that. And I just think that one of the things that is happening to us now is that the media, instead of engaging with our issues, are determined to just say, in 1986 that bloke was declared bankrupt. Right, and I think that that's the problem. And my own instinct, and apologies for swearing again, is just to say fuck 'em. And just say, I've had enough of listening to this about somebody said something on Twitter 15 years ago. Actually, the reality is, you know something about Tommy Robinson? I'm not seeking financial advice from the man, and therefore the fact he's a mortgage fraudster is of no interest to me. What is of interest?
But the fact that he headbutted an off-duty police officer might make him not suitable to be in Parliament.
But Lois, with respect, you're missing the point. The point is this. What we are interested in is whether the man is right about the racism and grooming gangs.
But can't you be right about certain issues, but also not right overall in terms of image for government?
Well, to be fair, Tommy Robinson's a bad example because he doesn't want to join Reform and they wouldn't let him in.
No.
But my point is this. That I just wonder with this vetting whether there's any point in doing it at all, simply because, well, what if you get a party full of contrarians? What if we are all the awkward squad who all shout at each other?
But if you've got people putting stuff on social media, and again, I don't know whether this is true or not, but talking about, Jewish conspiracies, don't you think that that's not very good?
Well, I think the thing is, my own view, and I might well be wrong, I think there's more of this that's wound up by the media than really exists. I mean, I genuinely don't believe that we're all a bunch of secret racists and some of us have been caught out on Twitter. I just don't believe that. I think the reality is that...
Don't you think that sometimes anti-Semitism is the sort of allowed racism?
Well, look, can I tell you something? A guy called Simon Walters, who is a drunk, he worked in the Mail on Sunday.
Well, he drinks more than us.
He ran a series of dishonest articles against me for 12 consecutive weeks in the Mail on Sunday. It was all low-fold rubbish. Now look, at the end of the day, if you want to Google search me and ask whether it's true that I poisoned somebody with a pina colada in a crab shack in West London, then you're welcome to Google that and think that is a true reflection of me. But actually,
what are they saying you
no,
did?
I was actually accused of attempting to poison somebody by buying them a cocktail. But anyway, but my serious point is this. Douglas Murray says that we are a country that is unique in that we're obsessed with shooting the messenger. I do accept that there is some behaviour that makes you improper for public office, but I do also think the election needs to decide that. And I'll go further. I think that what we see more times is a left-wing media establishment that want to veto you with the, you can't say that. And I think we do have to, as part of what we do, we have to push back against that. And we have to say we're not being picked off one by one. That's just my view.
Yeah, there are problems with reform as well. It's all centrally controlled. Nigel Farage talked about democratising the party. There is no democracy whatsoever. The branches have got no say in anything. Everything can be vetoed by
You've got to give.
I make every decision.
I know I sound like the messenger, but you've got to give them a chance, honestly. But it literally. Since May, they've been trying to, they're sort of reverse engineering everything that the Conservative Party and the Labour Party have had for 150 years, 100 years. If these issues are still happening in 12 months, in 1 year, 100%, I would agree with you.
We've lost hundreds of great candidates in that time.
But people are people. They're just people, and some... Look, I honestly feel, having been into Central Office a couple of days ago, that they're doing their best. Yeah. But it's a reverse engineering thing. It really is. And you can agree with me or not agree with me or think that I'm being too nice or whatever, but okay, that's my view. Yes.
I've worked in industry most of my life. I am a farmer's boy, but I've worked in big business all most of my life.
Which part of industry?
The car industry.
Car industry,
The
right?
last 12.5 years of my working life was in China.
Okay.
Building plants in China. I was trained by the Japanese. I worked in Nissan in Sunderland.
I hope not those stupid electric cars, no.
No,
Oh, that's good.
The important thing is when you take over a factory or a business, you look for the best bits of the business, wherever they are in the world, you find the best factory, you look at it, you analyse it, and you use that as your standard for other factories to take it forward, okay? One of the most, and I'm not from this area, as you can tell from my accent, but I know these people really
Are you a Geordie?
I'm a Geordie. A passionate Geordie.
I like
Now,
the Geordie accent.
The important thing is, if you look at reform across all of the United Kingdom, if you look at how many councillors have they got and where, and what potential they've got and where, and so on, you'll find it's in Amber Valley in Derbyshire. Now, I would have focused on that. What are these people doing that's so clever? That's got all these mad, crazy people from Derbyshire.
Can you help me? Can you help me then?
Let me finish, please. Let me finish.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of doing that, what they did was send people into this area to make these people look stupid. To make them look stupid, and everything we've talked about that the state is doing to the British people, reform, or doing to these people. And it's a bloody disgrace, and it needs to stop. It's too late now, because the damage is being done.
So you feel that it's completely irreparable?
Just out of interest.
No, let me say one more thing. There's a guy called Elon Musk, right, who's no idiot. He's also a guy that's worked in the car industry and been very successful. He's looked at the data the same as I would, and he's made a decision. Reform is a great party, it's just led by the wrong people. Simple as that.
Well, I couldn't disagree more. But you think, honestly, you think that anyone apart from Nigel could create the same passion? Do you really think that? Who? Oh, bollocks.
I don't really...
Sorry. I love Ben.
I feel when Yusuf takes over the leadership of reform because that's what they're leading up to. Because Nigel.
Well, what's your problem is here?
Do we really want a Muslim?
Oh no, I'm not going to discriminate against somebody on the basis of their religion. Sorry.
I would discriminate. This is the problem. No one wants to speak up because nobody wants it.
I'm not going to. Sorry. It's all about values for me. If I have British values.
Because you can see reform disintegrate as soon as he.
Sorry,
Reform gets stronger.
Can I just ask? Can I ask you a question? Because you were, Andrew Pritchard's agent, great guy. I'm just really interested actually in the Amber Valley, simply because one would assume, had there not been problems, this was on the trajectory to become a safe seat, I think, as I said.
I think so.
What is your prediction as to what will happen here? Because obviously we are now, and this doesn't matter, it doesn't, in a sense it doesn't matter to me whose fault this is, but we're in a position now where it looks like on the cusp of victory, things have gone quite badly wrong.
So your question is, what happens now?
What's going to happen next?
Unless Reform Central Office do a complete U-turn and apologise to these people for what they've put them through. Remember, I've seen most of the WhatsApps that's coming in, and I've seen the emails, and it's not very pretty. No, you can't. If me, as a senior manager of a business, had sent stuff like this out to my people, I would deserve to get dragged over the coals and kicked out of the job. Kicked out of the job. Not asked to leave, kicked out.
Am I not allowed to clarify?
You can, but let me finish first, please.
Excuse me, I'm new to this. Can I ask what has happened?
I feel the same way, if I'm being honest.
Right. So my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just want to put this to you, is that the councillors that were given. Right, can you explain it better than me?
It's a very, very simple thing. The Amber Valley branch is one of the most successful branches in the country for Reform UK.
Yes.
They've got a load of councillors, and basically they're on course.
I had a load of councillors.
But let me give you the background. They're on course to win at the general election. Now the problem is, loads of people have come into reform, and now because you've seen the membership go up, and effectively there is a debate about, first of all, who should have the whip hand across the country, but secondly, as you may have read in the press, there's been a huge problem. Well done. That's probably not a bad thing actually. There's been a huge thing with Reform UK's vetting. They've really struggled to get it right. They struggled before the general election. They've brought in a new vetting team. Dare I say they might be a little overzealous. And effectively, the end result of that has been that a whole slew of councillors and others around here are no longer allowed to be Reform UK councillors.
Andre, wasn't there another issue?
Well, I just want to give the Brexit. That's all.
Yeah, but what can you explain, because you have much deeper.
Okay. So the statement. So I didn't really want to get into all this, but
no, I know, but
just
tell them what they've said.
The statement issued by Reform UK says that the nominating officer for the Amber Valley for Reform UK had that status removed. And nonetheless signed nominations for people illegally.
And
now,
so
look, I'm not defending that
trouble.
statement. I don't know.
So
That's what it's about.
That's not what it's about.
People involved,
Okay.
I'm happy
It's not what it's about.
to explain.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we've been going as a group. Well, Alex has been going for like 14 years, building reputation in the area in Amber Valley for doing good works, for doing things that the councils won't do. And over that time, he's built a team of people around him, and I'm very proud to be one of that team. And we only met him years ago, really, didn't we? But I've known about him for many years. Now, so we've been going 2 years.
Yeah.
We've got councillors on one of the local town councils. We've got 9 out of 21.
There were 20, weren't there?
No, there were about 15 altogether.
Oh,
10
okay.
10 people on different councils. I had 2 roles. I'm a county councillor on Derbyshire County Council. I was leader of the reform group, which is Alex and me. And Alex was you're probably the leader of the town council group, as well. So anyway, so the election comes round, and Alex is the candidate, self-funded, and we really should have won the general election. We think there was some dodgy stuff at Amber Valley. It's all very peculiar. We were there watching, and there were some inconsistencies. But we did a very good thing anyway. We got 12,000 votes. And it's because of what we do in the community.
Yeah.
Reform do bring votes. They do bring extra votes. You can't argue with the fact when Nigel said he was coming back into politics, it gave us a great boost, didn't it?
Yeah,
and people came out and were great, Nigel's back. But all the time we're thinking, let's just watch out about this. But we hoped everything would be great. But as I said to you in the car, we've been down this road before when he let us down after the referendum, when UKIP was just about to become a very serious party, when we'd won, and he walked away. And he didn't.
Yeah, but he walked away because there were people being brought into the party that had been active members of the British National Party and the National Front.
Not the morning after the referendum. And then he set up the Brexit Party when we were fighting for UKIP. And fair enough, there's an argument. I agree with your argument. I understand why you do.
Because that's why I left UK.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't go down that road, and I've
So
been
he
on
comes
well.
back though now, and he comes back, and that's fine, and then brings his own person in to take over as chair, who's got no political experience at all, to deal with people like us, because we're not Tories. The reason we're not Tories, we're not going to sit down and be told by these idiots what to do. We're our own people, and all these people here, we don't read the Daily Mail. We listen to Andrew Bridgen. We've got our own ideas about the way the country's going and what the reality is, and that this whole thing is like theatre. So we're fighting for our community.
Do you think that reform is now a global?
It's Tories lot too. You can't argue against that.
Do you think there's an argument that actually you just want to be sort of a rebel?
Well, we are rebels.
I know, but
We want a party that represents not a continuation of the same thing, which is Tory Mark II.
So, but the Reform Party policies, and one of the big things for me personally, because I was the one that made them do this, is getting rid of all the net zero policies. They're the only party in Parliament. Yeah. I mean, that's huge. You can't.
They're leading us down the path, and then when we get so far down the path, it'll all change. And the girl said there, we'll find Nigel will go away to Florida somewhere, have a rest, and we'll get a leadership we don't want. Already the policies are so muddy, they're just turning
Which policies, muddy?
Nigel wants to take over the Tory party. He doesn't want people like us.
I'm sorry. Knowing him extremely well, I just. He absolutely does want people like you. I don't get that feeling at all.
Well, we do.
Okay, well then that's a collapse in confidence that needs to be sorted out.
We've been doing it. We do it every week. We do it all the time. We've been fighting for reform. We were in it before Nigel was in it. You know,
Is it true what they said about the just strictly on points of electoral law, if you like? Is it correct what they said?
No, what happened was.
Right, I just want to know that.
Yeah, well, I'll give you chapter and verse as I know. So Alex was a DNO for a year.
Yeah.
So we signed off our own candidates. There's no problem.
Yeah.
We had a message before the election saying it was running out. I think from the council, wasn't it? Yeah. So Alex got another DNO sorted out, and that was Alan Graves, who's the leader of Derby Reform. He gave Alex a DNO, which we assumed was for a year. So we carried on.
But it wasn't.
And we gave...
Designated nominating officer.
Yes.
So basically, he's the person that owns the brand. So when you go in and get yourself nominated as a candidate, that's fine, you get 10 people. But also to be, say, the Reform or the Conservative candidate, you also need the designated nominating officer to say, this is our person.
So how long was it for then? You assumed it was for a year?
We assumed it was for a year.
But how long was it for?
It turns out it was for 3 months, and that's I've never in 12 years and 20 years in politics.
From my point of view, it sounds like there's a group of people that's done a hell of a lot of good work.
No, I agree.
But they've not been acknowledged for it and have been kicked in the balls.
And the other thing is, Alan Graves, who's leader of Derby Reform, is not even a member of Reform UK. So he shouldn't have been given the task by Richard Titus giving Alex in the first place.
Because something's happening similar now. If this is, and it needs to be sorted, because you've got good people, good decent people here, and so someone needs to acknowledge this and actually just come and sort it out.
But look, having heard what you've just said, I'll come to you 1 second. Having heard what you've just said, that is very interesting. Thank you for telling me that.
I've got to say something, and I'm not saying this in order to be disparaging, quite the opposite. Because clearly it's caused a great deal of upset and caused a lot of problems.
Yeah, because I might have to come and give you a smack.
But actually,
You probably like
But actually, because of that, we didn't leave because of that. But actually, before we even knew.
But actually, at the heart of this, and this is not to be disparaging, it's not a major problem, is it? Actually, it sounds to me as somebody who's not representative of anything other than myself. It sounds to me like actually it's an eminently fixable problem. And I think this lady's right, that actually people need to get around the table together. But fundamentally,
for what they've done, and they are still a very strong hold, obviously. I'm talking outside, this is my first meeting here, so this is all in 20
that everyone
years.
just needs to
I
get
can
love?
see it happening, and it
I think
worries
there's
me.
a whole reform of middle management that needs to be done within reform.
Can I just take this question from this gentleman here? Had his hand up for a while.
Thank you. Just from a, say, an outsider point of view, from Nottingham, so we're not attached to the Undervalley, but I do know these guys, and they are good guys. And thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome. I just wanted to clear something up because there's been a little bit misinformation. Just to make it clear about the DNO. Now, I've got a lot of experience in politics. I've been involved since 1994. Started life at Boundary Mission. Remember those plebs? That was the guy. Although I did enjoy the Conservatives.
Yeah, I remember that, the police,
I used to work for him, but then joined UKIP and part of the referendum.
Was that under my 30-day leadership?
I was retired by. But about the DNO, because I used to be a DNO for UKIP. and I used to travel around making sure everyone's signed off. And I can tell you how this paperwork is supposed to happen. So the party issues the DNO, and they can sign a party. You explained it very well. In this instance, from what I have seen, is that it was given a DNO, instead of lasting for a year, it lasted for 3 months.
Do they always last for a year normally?
Normally it is.
Right,
yes.
okay.
But sometimes it can be a temporary one. It's
okay.
on the responsibility of the council to honour the DNO. If it's out of date, the council should then not honour the
Do
signature.
you think that maybe there's something dodgy that went on with the council?
Well, that's speculation, but it's possible because all the civil services are in it, aren't
Well, they're all super wokes,
they?
yeah.
But the problem is how the party has dealt with this is been horrendous.
I know, but you
I
know,
believe it
they're
is.
trying to find anything they possibly can at the moment to try and trip them up. So I think what's happening is that reform are having to be overly zealous with electoral law, electoral guidelines, aren't they? They're having to be absolutely almost.
I mean, by the way, you're right. You're right on the head of democratic services, or whatever your equivalent is. He really ought to have checked whether that piece of paperwork was valid, and really was more his job than yours, I would suggest.
So this is where it's come. So when they said, "Oh, this is a rogue branch using this rogue paperwork," that paperwork was given in good faith. The branch had not done anything wrong. The council made the error. It's not used when he was actually told. Not to use it, he never used it anymore.
But he just said that it was nothing to do with that anyway. It's because they lost faith in the party. Is that right?
That's right. This is as a result.
Right. The way they reacted.
Apologies. A day later, like in fact the same day, didn't it? We resigned, and then all this stuff came out, and I didn't even know.
But can I repeat my question from earlier? Because for me as an outsider, this is my first time in Amber Valley, and it's my first time really hearing this. And as I say, I'm not representative of Reform or indeed anybody else. What happens next? Because I just worry. Perhaps you can answer. I just worry that a seat that could go to a very, very good right-wing candidate might not be delivered. What's your view on that?
Well, this is the candidate. And he's not bothered about talking. I do his talking for him.
Politician that doesn't want to talk. What's going on?
We could ever wish for, because he's not about spouting. It's about working. It's about doing things in the community. And your phone his phone is full because he's got names of people that just really.
I'm sorry, just to check. Is he now able to run? Or is he now vetoed?
Well, he can run for another party.
Sure, okay, sorry.
One of the issues was, with 2 county councillors, so you would think, Reform has not that many county councillors, so you would think we'd have some dialogue at least with the leadership. Like, you've got, I don't know, they've got 7 or something like that. So you would think at the national conference there'd be some kind of powwow between the leadership. What do you want us to do would be our question, wouldn't it? How do you want us to act? What policies do you want us to pursue at county level? We are the little people, we don't care, no one bothers, no one gets in touch with us.
I can completely understand why you feel like this, but I don't think it's deliberate. I think they're just literally reverse engineering a system of a political party at the moment.
It's not good enough, my friend. If you want to be a serious political party, you have to talk to people who are actually, before the MPs were elected, there was Alan in Derby, Alan Graves, who was Mayor of Derby, a very good campaigner. There's us next door, and a couple of other people around the country. We were the highest ranking elected people in the party. And yet, no one would talk to us. The management doesn't talk to us. The regional manager is a complete shower.
Lois, with your influence and your contacts that you've got, because here you've just said.
I just wear short skirts. That's my main thing. That's my big thing that I do.
So it does work.
It has a surprising amount of influence, actually.
Can this not be sorted? Because you've actually got here people that are willing to work and do the best and want to be acknowledged.
I'm absolutely certain that there is there's a way forward.
So terrible that people
We spoke
wanting to
earlier,
go the same way are breaking God before they get on the same path.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's
But you know that thing, I mean, where all of us are, we've all found that we've been called conspiracy theorists and then found that our conspiracies have been correct, yeah, on a number of issues, probably everyone in this room, yeah? But can I just say, on this particular issue, and I say this genuinely, I don't think that there's any conspiracy but before what happened against you guys. I just think that they're just ridiculously busy. I really do.
You're being
Cock up.
totally naive. Your head office is out of control. These people
I was in the head office 2 days ago.
they're incompetent. They're incompetent.
I mean, I think it's
You can't
important.
talk to people like this.
I think it is important. I think it is important to bear in mind it is not Lois's
Yes,
head
I know.
office.
I know.
Lois is a supporter of Nigel Farage, but she doesn't speak for him.
No,
Nor
I
does she
don't.
speak for Zia.
No.
Although she's done an admirable job to be honest.
Absolutely, yes, she's crackers.
So once again, I mean, look, what happens at the next election? I mean, people are reluctant to say this. Will there be 2 candidates? Will there be a split? Or I get the sense in this room that actually everyone wants to kiss and make up, and is just very angry that that's not happened yet. Is that a fair assessment, or is everyone looking blankly at me?
Well, there are a lot of
I think the fact that you've had people that are reform, you know, you need to actually communicate. Yes, that's what they're needing.
I mean, I've got
It's still
reform
not
members
happening.
here. There are a lot of sovereign people and people who.
And I don't vote for
Who
these
think
railways,
clearly
I'm
about
nowhere near Amber Valley.
Like Ginny.
Can I tell you something? I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this.
Well, I think it's fair to say it's been a robust debate.
When Nigel goes to bed about midnight, 1 o'clock, gets up about 4:30 in the morning, right? When he wakes up, he has about 1,000 emails. He normally has 1,200 to 1,300 WhatsApp messages, and they're all from good. They're not from random people. They're all from people that are important and
Yeah,
do
but
good
Lois
work.
has got one Lois. Yes.
Yeah, no, I know. Because I'm always saying, hang on a minute, why haven't you come back to me? You know, what? Hang on, it's me. And he's like, well, you know, Lois, there's 1,500 WhatsApps.
This isn't anything to do with conspiracy theories. It's to do with politics.
I'm just saying, I just feel that it can be resolved. That's all I'm saying. But they're really on their case. The electoral commission, in terms of electoral law, they want to do anything they can to mess him up. At the moment, they don't want somebody coming into Parliament that's going to get rid of the petrol diesel ban or start fracking. They don't want that. They want to completely and utterly, you know, what do we call it?
Eviscerate them.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a way of doing it. They've got to be not just above board, but above.
I mean, Lois. I genuinely.
You told me not to do this, didn't you?
I said, do you know what I said to her? I said to her on the train, do not defend the granular details. Just say, in principle, I said, Lois, just say, in principle, I agree you all need to get back together. Don't get into the granular details, because they will know more about it than you. Lois, what have you done this evening?
Yeah, I've been a typical woman.
But
yeah.
I think, look, the reality is, it is a sad state of affairs, and it's actually particularly sad because you are so close to winning Amber Valley. Yeah. I mean, actually, you know, I was disparaging about Nigel Mills before, but you know, if he'd been probably slightly less entrenched, then you'd have had it. And I will say this. I'll say this to you, I'll say this to Farage, I'll say this to Zia. I don't know Zia, but I'd happily say this to anybody.
Zia's all right.
It would be a crying shame to see some bloody socialist hold this seat as a result of something that is at the heart of it a very minor party management issue. I appreciate a minor party management issue that has had significant impact and has upset people, but fundamentally is a minor party management issue.
It's just big because it's stopping people move forward.
Yes, but
and we need all the support moving
forward. Sure, but the point I'm making is that if you take away the venom and anger, actually, it's about a vetting system that isn't quite working. and that is
I
fundamentally
think it
my
sounds like there's someone somewhere that's
Messing with it.
is messing with it. And it's only a guess from the outside.
Well, it's quite funny.
Okay, let's get this lady.
Well, for my question is, why would we have got an organisation like Hope Not Hate to vet people?
Good question.
Brilliant question.
I must admit that
I will.
That was under Richard Tyson's leadership, wasn't it? Yeah.
I've got to be honest, that was a low point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let me just be clear. Hope Not Hate are interested in. So Hope Not Hate are
They
fascists.
hate me.
Hope Not Hate are fascists.
Yeah.
They are interested in using, exploiting things like racism, the slave trade, the Holocaust, exploiting that in order to silence genuine political criticism of the left. Hope Not Hate should never be anywhere near any genuine, sensible, conservative or right-wing or patriotic organisation. It's absolute garbage.
But let's give reform a chance to actually put the proper procedures in place, get the right people in place. All of your input is amazing because it helps them do the right thing. But I keep saying it, 150 years the Tories have had, 100 years Labour, and they've only had MPs in Parliament since May.
I mean, I didn't know any of this or anything. I've just come.
You just
for
come
a
in
kind
fresh.
of night out and Andre with the full.
Well, you came for him, not me.
To be fair,
women do like
I will say one thing to you. Obviously, when the defection happened, when the resignations happened, we were determined to come anyway, simply because I think somebody has to do something for unity, and even if that involves some people not liking what Lois has said or throwing rocks at us, figuratively rather than literally, I think it is important to say that we remain one team together, and we need to get it right.
It's a very simple one. What do you think of Ben Habib, Lois? What do you think of Ben?
Well, I will tell you, he's a contributor on my TV and radio show, and he's sensational.
Isn't he brilliant?
I like Ben.
Oh, you didn't want him?
I like Ben a lot. We're good friends. I think sometimes he can get a bit pedantic or fixated,
Yeah.
and the phrase realpolitik doesn't come into his common vernacular.
Oh, Lois, why have you done that? Come on!
Do you think he's a nice guy?
Yeah.
And do you think it's somebody that these people should be allowed to talk to?
Yes.
I don't understand. Right, okay, now this is when I'm going to go for
Stop talking.
Can I just say, I think, this is what I think, right?
Oh, we'll be here all night.
Oh, shut up, you!
This is good. This is good.
Coming through here, doesn't let me get a word in bloody edgeway, shut up, you! Right, sometimes
You do the questions, Lois, don't worry. That's fine.
I'm joking. Ben Habib, as I said, I think it was disappointing that he didn't win the seat when he stood before Nigel Farage became leader. That was disappointing. And when the MPs were elected into Parliament, he was obviously the deputy leader at that point. But it was obvious that they would want someone that was an MP to be the deputy leader. Yeah, so Nigel spoke to him, but in Nigel Farage's speech when he won the captaincy, I was doing my disappearing act at the time, but I watched that. He said that he listed the things that needed to happen in the Reform Party, that it needed to be more democratic, it needed to be a political party, not a business, and he listed the things that needed to happen. And then Ben, for reasons, maybe because he knew that he was on the way out, possibly.
No.
Okay. I'm speculating, that's my own opinion, not anyone else's. He went wild. I mean, he was all over the media, and he was in the Telegraph slating Nigel, saying he needs to do X, Y and Z, when actually Nigel had said that he was going to do those things in his speech at Clapton.
I'm gonna disagree with Lois on this. I do think it was a mistake losing Ben Habib. I have to say, I do accept that in general terms, the leader, deputy leader, and senior people have to be in Parliament but every political party has a role for somebody who's at the top table, who's out of Parliament. In the Conservative Party, I think they call them deputy chairman. And then in the Labour Party, and my background's not the Labour Party, but the Liberal
He was
Democrat.
completely disarmed immediately.
Yeah, but
at their best, at Nigel's highest point, at Reform's highest point,
look,
at our highest point,
look,
5 members of Parliament, he started going in the media slating.
But my comment remains.
It's terrible losing anybody.
My comments.
Especially when they're statesmen, and
My-
some of these, we've got very few in this country, and you've got, I
Yeah,
think,
but if you're not
more
loyal-
than me bloody Anderson, you know.
I think my comment remains. Look, if you were offended by the awkward squad, you wouldn't be in this movement, right? We are the contrarian. We are the awkward squad. Ergo, there's going to be disagreements between people. I personally think there's no harm in senior politicians disagreeing with each other publicly. I think politics is overmanaged. I think the Blair-Alistair Campbell thing, where everybody has to say exactly the same thing, has genuinely not really benefited the country. I have no problem with members of Parliament from the same party stand up and disagreeing with each other. And look, at the end of the day, Ben Habib's point about internal party structure, it is one that, to be fair, everyone appears to share, and the question is how quickly you get there.
The gentleman with the nice moustache and the jacket.
It's beautiful.
Not many men can pull off a moustache, but you're one of them.
Alright, just following on really from what Philip has said earlier regarding lack of branch organisation. Farage clearly said at the conference last summer that they're going to set up branches to make the party more democratic. That's what he said. I don't know how many staff they are in headquarters.
They've got about, is it about 20 now?
20, alright.
No, to be fair, there were 2 floors.
Oh,
so
right,
we were on the top
okay.
floor, there was a second.
20 a dozen. But even so, you'd have thought from a conference last summer to where we are now, which is well over 6 months, you'd have thought there'd have been some way, as referred to, that sitting councillors could have been telephoned. And it's a fairly basic thing to do. And Labour can't even. Labour,
cut them then, please. I mean, come on, surely.
Can I just say to you?
They can't even do that.
In 1 year, if these issues are still happening, yeah, 1 year, I will be as angry as you are, yeah. But I can't emphasise this enough. They're reverse engineering stuff that the other parties have been doing for over 100 years in terms of their structure at the moment.
That's external. Stop talking about reverse engineering. These people just need talking to.
No, I know, but in terms of manpower, in terms of
That's to do with changing the party to become democratic. That's about talking to people who are representing the party.
They are.
2 completely different things.
No, I get what you're saying, and that is being done. That is being done. Absolutely being done.
Phil.
In 1 year, it'll be too late.
Why? Why would it be too late? So you
Yeah.
guys are not willing to give them. You're not willing to give them any slack at all, yeah? You really?
It needs happening now, not in 2
You-
years'
you-
time.
What do you want Labour? Because the alternative is Labour and the Tories, right? That is the alternative.
I've been told to stand here, so I've got some messages here. This is to Alex, right, from Helen O'Hare, who's the regional manager, who is just appalling. Okay. Helen also said we cannot, this is from Graham, the National Nominating Officer. Helen also said we cannot work with Alan Graves in Derby or Ben Habib. Is this true? You certainly can't work with Ben Habib at all.
No.
The decision has come direct from Zia. Just checked our system, no sign of your membership request. I'll have another look for you tomorrow. I've checked and
So
you
there
are
is
more than okay to work with Alan Graves and Reform Derby. But then that changed
That
as
doesn't
well.
sound particularly horrible, does it?
Well, where's the other one?
No.
Where's the other one?
I mean, it's not like go away and die, is it?
Well, it's part of a system. Like the worst thing is this Helen O'Hare, this regional manager, who's never been to see us, talked to me once on the phone. I think talked to Alex once. He's never come to a meeting with
Can I
us.
just tell you something? Nigel knows I'm here, right? So,
Right.
so I'm here, all right? Okay. So
we've never seen him.
okay, right? But he knows I'm here, and he wanted me to come here. Okay. So because when the stuff come up in the press, I said, oh, I talked to him about it, and he said, no, I think it's very important that you go there.
We're very pleased you've come.
No, I'm
it's
chuffed
great
to be.
fun.
But
I'm
what
on
I'm
the great
saying
side.
is someone has come. Okay, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm not official reform. I'm sorry, I'm not. But I'm here. Okay.
He's in the zone now. Watch it.
Yeah, he told me to stand at the front. So the thing is, though, it's not just Amber Valley. It's not just us. We've got branches around. We've got Mid Derbyshire and Bolsover and Erewash, and they've caused so many problems with all the branches, and it comes from the management, and it's the local management.
Yeah, but I repeat this comment, and I know I've said it a few times. But a management that accept that they're deficient at the moment and are attempting to professionalise.
But we don't want professionals. We're amateurs. We're politicians. We don't want professionals. Professional is aggressive and nasty.
Sure, but my observation as an outsider is this. When you say these group of people are deficient, they are a group of people who concede they're deficient. So in that sense, you all agree.
Well, I don't want a surgeon, when I'm going under the knife, to say, I'm deficient, I don't know what I'm doing.
Hang on a minute, you just said I don't want professionals, I want amateurs.
No,
that doesn't work. How does that work?
Because professional is just a word. It suggests.
You wouldn't want an
it
amateur
suggests
surgeon,
dodgy
would you?
dealing. It suggests dodgy dealing.
Who is this Helen?
Helen O'Hare, she's the regional manager of Reform, and she appeared from nowhere. She was I think her background is as a care worker.
Yes, you've got to sort.
As a care worker and a failed. I think she had an issue. She had an issue on a parish council.
I'll buy a new skirt.
You know, she has no experience. She has no people.
Right, come on. I'll tell you what. You've got to help us. Who's got Helen O'Hare's number? Come on, right. Stick it in Lois's phone. No, you've agreed to it now.
Well, short skirt won't work with her.
So the thing is, if the main problem with Nigel is that he can't choose his friends. Sorry, I'd rather other people talk.
Okay. All right. Okay. But no, I hear you completely. I do, and the people who put so much hard work in and are passionate. And they want to be acknowledged. And
it's not about being acknowledged, it's about being allowed to continue to do what we're doing. And not being attacked.
Well, yeah,
and not being basically
hang on, when you say...
Can I say something? I won't shout, I will be reasonable, I won't be a horrible cowbag like I
I'd love to hear what you've got to say.
All I'm going to say is, you are saying, that it's a new party, etc. How long has Nigel Farage been in politics?
But he's one man.
Yeah, he's
one man. He can only be awake for a certain amount of hours.
Yeah, but he's not doing it on his own, is he?
Well, he isn't now, but he almost has been for a long time.
Don't call me Mate Tice, right?
I've never done that, don't worry.
He got rid of Paul Oakden, which is fair enough. But Paul Oakden, he was in UKIP, he was doing it for a long time. But
there are reasons, very good reasons, which I can't go into.
Because I would have got rid of him a long time ago, but that's not the point. He's not an amateur. He knows what he's doing.
He's one man.
He's one man.
No, he isn't now, right now. Right now he isn't, but he has been for a long time.
He came back into a party which already existed.
Well, okay, the one thing...
So why did he bail on us after the referendum?
I think it's important...
Hit the ground running. UKIP were up there.
Sure, but I think it's important...
He's the reason that we're out of the European Union.
Hang on, I think it is...
We are the reason
think
we're
it's
out of the
important.
European Union. And why do you always interrupt everybody?
Because
when they're getting to the point.
No, the reality is, no, excuse me, this woman is not a spokesman for Nigel Farage. She is not a spokesman for Richard Dawson. Look, but at the end of the day, hang on, okay. Look, phone the party chairman of Reform UK. This is not my problem. I'm sick of listening to this. Look, I'm sick of listening to this. I did not come here to answer for Nigel Farage and Zia Youssef, a man I've never met in my life, right?
But you are
Well, I'll tell you what, give me Sir Youssef's number. If you know him, we can speak to him together. I've never met the bloke, apart from 1 minute, right? If you want me to answer on behalf of Sir Youssef, then unfortunately my problem is I don't know the bloke, right? We can talk generally about the strategy for reform, but we are not representatives of the Reform Party. I'm very sorry that no representative of the Reform Party was brave enough to face you, though I do understand why.
Nigel is not one man. He's never. And maybe at the beginning.
That's what I'm saying. It's
He's
building.
doing it again. Shut up, for fuck's sake. Let someone speak.
I was agreeing with you. I was agreeing with you.
But look, he got rid of Godfrey Bloom. He put out of temper. Why? Godfrey's a fantastic bloke. He would have been a fantastic representative. He got rid of him. He gets rid of everybody. He falls out with people. He's got a massive ego. But what really gets me is that he bailed on us when he shouldn't have. At the pinnacle of UKIP's, you know.
There were reasons for that. You know what the reasons were. Yeah, you must do. They were bringing people into the party that have been active members of the BNP and the National Front. He couldn't have any association with people like that if he was going to be Prime Minister, which he will be.
He won't be because he's always said, I do not want to be Prime Minister. He's
always going to be Prime Minister.
No, he's
not, mate. He's not.
He's not.
Okay, anyway.
Okay, look, I think what we're going to have to say is we're going to have to just call surrender and say, look.
Let's say truth then.
What I do want to say, genuinely from the bottom of our heart, we did want to come here today. We knew it was going to get a bit fruity in the questions, which is why I did the first bit and left her to do the second bit. But I do want to say this quite genuinely. What you've achieved in the Alma Valley has been phenomenal, and I genuinely wish you all the luck in the world. And I hope sincerely that these problems can be resolved, because what would be a disaster is to see this idiot Keir Starmer elected again, to see the Conservatives remain as the official opposition. None of that is going to give this country back to the young people who've had it dragged away from them. We started at the beginning of this talking about the lack of opportunities, the racism against our people, and the lack of housing, the lack of university places, whatever. We have to solve this, and actually, if it takes us to come here and have a few rocks thrown at us, figuratively, literally, I was getting worried at one point, but then I think that's worth doing. So thank you so much for inviting me, Lois.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. So I really love it. Thank you.
I got a bit fruity, didn't I? Do you mind if I come down? Although actually, no. You get on that one. I'll give you a peg up. Don't stand up. Stand up. Right, look at that. You've not been that high for years. Well, our next time we went in. Not really need more. Good to see you. Come on, give me a hug. I understand.